that there's a midlife crisis that we have to figure out how to navigate. Our next guest is going to help us through some of that with her new book, 40 Plus and Failing. This morning, I welcome to the Now Morning Show author Trudy Dana Joseph. Good morning to you, Trudy.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having me.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm great. And yourself?
So far, so good. Tell me about this book, 40 Plus and Failing. First of all, it's a very interesting title because the failing part is what's interesting to me. Why would you choose to name the book 40 Plus and Failing rather than Succeeding?
Because I chose to name the book 40 Plus and Failing because that is the narrative of so many people in the 40 plus age group. You know, we expect that by this age, we're supposed to have everything in order, all our ducks in a row. But the reality is this is not the case for so many people. And so the story of 40 plus and failing just speaks to the scenario that is happening in the lives of so many people. All right, people are feeling like at this point in their lives, they should be at a certain point, but for some reason, they are not there yet.
Tell me about that moment when you had that click that said, I'm going to write about this in a book, because, I mean, experiencing it in life is one thing. Seeing people around you experience it. Like you said, so many people are experiencing it. We've seen it. We've seen people say it all the time. What was that moment that made you say, I'm going to write a book about this?
Actually, the decision to write the book wasn't really mine. I didn't plan to write a book. I was going through my own midlife crisis, so I was journaling everything. And then what I would call the spirit told me, put this in a book, because as you go through your journey, as you get the answers to your questions, this is going to also provide answers for so many people. And so I got the courage to actually formulate it into something that people would be able to read and to use to help them in their own situation.
Yeah, tell me about that feeling of feeling like almost like a failure and navigating that journey.
Well, the feeling is horrible. I can't lie, it's horrible, because for me, it was really traumatic looking at myself, a person who is educated, a person who has accomplished so many things, and still feeling like I got nowhere. That is how I felt. Right? I am Tobago born and bred. I came to Trinidad at the age of 16 to pursue my bachelor's in home economics, which I've been teaching for 20 plus years. I have traveled, I've had my own business, I've done so many things, but still that feeling of satisfaction and fulfillment is what was missing from my life. And so I had to ask myself, well, what is really happening? Like, what is going on here? And so I started to really look back at some of the decisions that I made and trying to find out what got me to the place that I am now and what is preventing me from getting to where I really want to be. So that was the foundation of the story for me. And as I proceeded to go through my past, I had to go all the way back to my childhood, because there are elements of your childhood that are affecting your decisions now and are really preventing you from experiencing the joy and fulfillment that everybody our age thinks that we should be having at this point in time.
Did you have to get a guide for this journey in terms of like a therapist or anybody like that would have sat with you and gone through this journey, or this is just all introspection?
I did get therapy at a certain point, but most of my therapy, I would have to say, was done between God and myself. He was my therapist, because there were parts of myself that I didn't really know or understand, and I didn't understand, or I couldn't connect how my past was affecting my present and my future. And so I actually went on a 7-day fast. And when I say fast, I mean no food.
Nothing at all for 7 days? Not even a little water?
I had liquid.
Okay.
So I had water, tea, herbal teas and stuff like that. And during the fast is where I got the breakthrough. That's when God started sharing with me certain insights. And the insights, I would have to say, were about myself. Because it's very easy for us to blame our current situation on our circumstances, our upbringing, and really and truly, the person who we need to look at is ourselves, because it might not be the case that you created all the circumstances of your childhood, but as an adult, it's your responsibility to really do the healing work, do the inner work to bring you out from where you are into where you want to be.
Give me some tips or strategies that can help with doing that.
First, you have to believe that a great life is possible for you. If you can't see it, you will never be able to manifest it, right? You have to stop telling yourself, I can't. You have to stop telling yourself, this isn't for me. This will never happen. Those are words and phrases that you need to strike from your vocabulary completely. Once you're able to see a vision, then you could explore the steps to recreate that vision that you have in your mind.
I firmly agree with you there, because I remember a long time ago reading a book, The Secret, and a big part of it was believing. Believing that you can achieve it is half the battle.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people struggle with that when it comes to believing in themselves. How do you get that hope and inspiration to come from within? Because if all your life, for example, you mentioned childhood trauma, if as a child you were told, well, there's a limit to how much you can achieve, how do you get past that?
You have to abandon everything you've been told.
Oh,
You have to
that's
forget
a huge
about
ask.
Yes. You have to forget about everything, every negative thing that you've ever heard about yourself and your circumstances. You have to abandon it. You have to understand that that might have been my reality then, but you could open up your mind to new truths. You know, we have this thing these days that we call affirmations, right? Affirmations are, it's a strategy for reprogramming your mind. You might say an affirmation and you might not believe it, but with repetition, the mind will now start to entertain the possibility that this is a new truth and this is the truth that I want to hold on to.
Okay. All right, I hear you. Can I beg you to read a little excerpt first from the book?
Let's see.
While she's looking for it, ladies and gentlemen, 40 Plus and Failing is the name of the book by author Trudy Dana Joseph, and she's here with us on set, challenging societal norms, as it were, through the book. You have a little excerpt you ready for us there?
Yes, so each of the chapters in the book is a life lesson that I have come to realize is extremely important if you want to be successful. So this is from chapter 5, and the life lesson in chapter 5 is the first step to success is knowing what you want. When I began to really take a hard look at my life so far, the most baffling question that came to me was, what do I really want? What was I searching for? Was it love? Money? What was driving me to do the things that I was doing repeatedly? These questions made me realize how little I really knew about myself. I had no idea what made me truly happy or what was missing in my life. I had no clear direction, so there was no surprise that I had gotten nowhere in life. As strange as this might sound, I had to sit down with pen and paper many times to write down the things that I wanted and needed. I struggled to put names to the things that I truly desired. And these were not superficial things like a nice house, a nice car, but it was, you know, I had to really define the actual benefits that would be provided by these things. So this was the first step for me. I had to actually define what success looks like.
And that was actually, I literally just wrote it down because I'm like, how do you define that success?
Yes, we have to break free from the traditional image of what success is supposed to look like. Because we've been taught that to be successful, you have to go to school, You have to get good grades, get your subjects, get a degree so that you could land that good job, and then you get married, you buy a house, you buy a car, and settle down. But so many people are doing these things and they still don't feel like they're successful. So then the question is, what does success look like? And the answer is, success looks very different for each person.
Right.
At this point in my life, I no longer crave those traditional markers of success. What for me success is discovering and fulfilling my purpose, my God-given purpose, being a good mother to my children, and doing what I love while having the freedom to live a life that I truly desire. So success will look different for everyone.
How do you learn or understand what that purpose is?
You have to connect spiritually, because you have to understand that you didn't send yourself here.
You didn't ask to come.
No, you didn't ask to come. So in order for you to understand the reason why you're here, you have to connect with where you came from, right? And all of us are spiritual beings. We originated from a spiritual source. So for you to know your purpose, you have to connect to that spiritual source.
If persons want to get a copy of the book, to take a read through it, to assist them with their own journey, where can they get a copy?
All right, so they can go to my website, www.trudydanajoseph.com, or they could follow me on social media, Dana Joseph on Facebook, Trudy Joseph on Instagram, and just send me a message there.
Well, Trudy, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Congratulations on the book. And I know people are going to be interested in it, especially those who are 40 plus, I would imagine. And going through the journey, and maybe even those in their 30s preparing to enter that phase of their life can definitely do some soul searching and use the book as well. So thank you very much for sharing it with us and for joining us this morning on the
It was a pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem.